In 2022, the world learned of a shocking story, a mother tormenting her own teenage daughter with thousands of abusive texts. Netflix covered it in unknown number, but here are 10 disturbing facts the documentary didn't fully explain. Cyber Munchausen by proxy. Experts now describe the case as a rare example of cyber Munchausen by proxy. Traditionally, Munchausen by proxy involves a parent deliberately making their child sick to gain sympathy or control. But in this digital version, Kendra didn't physically hurt her daughter. Instead, she staged a campaign of online harassment to insert herself as both victim and savior, making it appear that Lauryn was being targeted by outsiders, while secretly being the abuser herself. This gave her control over the narrative and kept Lauryn dependent on her emotionally. It's one of the first well-documented cases of this disturbing psychological manipulation playing out entirely online. Scope of harassment spanned 22 months. The harassment wasn't a short burst of cruelty. It lasted nearly 2 years. From early 2020 until Kendra's arrest in late 2022, Lauryn endured a relentless flood of abusive texts, fake social media messages, and manipulated phone calls. This constant psychological pressure spanned 22 months, leaving Lauryn in a state of ongoing fear and confusion. Experts say that long-term exposure to this kind of abuse can be even more damaging than a single traumatic event, because the victim never has a chance to feel safe. Escalation to extreme psychological harm. The harassment wasn't just random name-calling. The texts quickly escalated into terrifying psychological abuse. Kendra sent messages filled with explicit threats, including encouragement for her daughter to harm herself. Some texts were so graphic that investigators described them as designed to break down a child's spirit. This level of cruelty left deep scars and went far beyond simple bullying. It was calculated psychological torture. Expert skepticism about Kendra's claims. When confronted, Kendra tried to spin a story. She claimed she didn't send the first wave of texts and only became involved later, supposedly trying to help identify the real perpetrator. But both the school and investigators doubted her from the beginning. Her narrative simply didn't make sense. The digital trail pointed straight back to her, and her claim of protecting Lauryn seemed more like an excuse crafted after the fact than the truth. Kendra's IT background. One reason she was able to keep the harassment going for so long was her technical knowledge. Kendra had a background in IT, which allowed her to use spoofing apps and VPNs to disguise where the texts were coming from. For months, this gave the illusion of an unknown stalker, confusing both investigators and Lauryn herself. In reality, those skills made her deception more believable and far more dangerous. Timeline of arrest and confession. Kendra's digital mask eventually cracked. In December 2022, she was arrested after evidence tied her directly to the harassment. In early 2023, she pled guilty to stalking charges, receiving a sentence of 19 months to 5 years. Shockingly, by August 2024, she was already released on parole, serving less than 2 years behind bars for an ordeal that lasted nearly 2. Legal and custody fallout. The legal consequences extended beyond prison. Kendra lost custody of Lauryn, and her ex-husband Sean now has full guardianship. The courts placed strict limits on Kendra's ability to contact her daughter, ensuring Lauryn could recover without her mother's influence. The family unit was shattered, with Sean stepping into the role of sole protector after years of hidden betrayal. Kendra's parole conditions. Life after release is tightly controlled for Kendra. She must stay in Michigan, maintain employment, and live under supervision. Most importantly, she is prohibited from having unsupervised contact with Lauryn. These restrictions showed just how serious authorities considered her ongoing risk, even outside prison walls. Director's sideline perspective. Skye Borgman, the documentary's director, described Kendra as an unreliable narrator. In interviews, Kendra often contradicted herself or seemed to rehearse her answers. Some viewers noted that her post-release interviews still felt manipulative, as if she were trying to rewrite history in her favor rather than show genuine remorse. Lauryn's emotional evolution post-release. Lauryn's journey has been just as complex. At first, she stayed in contact with her mother and expressed hope for reconciliation. But over time, her stance shifted. By 2024, Lauryn said she would only consider rebuilding a relationship when she felt the time was right, and even then, she would proceed with caution. That emotional distance highlights just how much damage the ordeal inflicted. Theories. Oversights and suspicion gaps. One of the most unsettling details. Authorities and family members seemed to accept Kendra as the likely culprit. Yet nobody questioned Lauryn or her father directly about their awareness. When police arrived at the house, it was revealed that Kendra wasn't employed, though she had previously claimed she was, something that should have been alarming. But what happened next is even more disturbing. Instead of confronting Kendra or asking Lauryn how she felt about her mother's betrayal, the father focused solely on the job issue. No one took a moment to ask Lauryn, "How did you process this?" Or, "Why didn't you say something when you knew?" The emotional dissonance was chilling, as one Reddit user observed. The strangest part for me was when the dad is told to come over, he's only bothered about when Kendra was laid off her job. He doesn't mention anything at all about the fact Lauryn's mom has been aggressively cyberbullying their daughter. Another added how shocking Lauryn's reaction, or lack thereof, felt. When the police call Lauryn inside the house, she doesn't really seem shocked. She doesn't confront her mom at all. Theories about Lauryn being involved. Then there's the theory some viewers have floated, that Lauryn might have known more than she showed, or may even have been complicit. These ideas are unsubstantiated, but they underscore how surreal the case felt. One commenter laid it out starkly. If you've watched the show, it's obvious from the footage that Kendra loves Lauryn. The messages often use "we" implying a team effort. Lauryn sat there, as if she knew all along. Another voice was even blunter. "I also suspected Lauryn was in on it based on her lack of reaction when the officer told her what was going on." These theories, though speculative, reflect how deeply unsettling the dynamics are, and how Lauryn's composed reaction, even under such shocking circumstances, left some viewers questioning what else might have been happening behind the scenes. The suspicion around Kendra. What makes this case even stranger is that people outside the investigation were suspicious of Kendra almost immediately. Chloe's father, himself a police officer, said from early on that the harassment pattern didn't look like the work of teenagers. But despite that, Kendra was never treated as a serious suspect until investigators had digital proof. This left many wondering, why were warnings from credible voices ignored for so long? The language problem. Then there's the issue of language. Many of the abusive texts contained slang terms like BJ, phrases that are outdated among teenagers but still used by older generations. All of the early suspects were kids, yet the style of writing was far more consistent with an adult voice. Combine that with the technical sophistication of VPNs and spoofing apps, and it should have raised red flags. Instead, authorities kept focusing on Lauryn's classmates, wasting months on dead ends while the real culprit lived in the same house. This case isn't just about one mother's betrayal. It's about trust, manipulation, and how abuse can take new forms in the digital age. And as Lauryn moves forward, the world is left asking, how could something this twisted happen at all?